So exactly the same as the last one, some documentation, app test, as well as test lowercase. This one's a different name. We're going to test adding a YAML repo. So one of the reasons why the first plugin we're going to create is very simple. It's a YAML, we're basically not going to be making a remote API call to GitHub or anywhere. We're simply going to be reading repository metadata from a local text file. I figured that'd be a nice way to ease into writing plugins. But also, it's a lot easier to test that one than to test anything that's making a remote API call. So our test is going to be focused on the YAML repository, which is basically just repository metadata in YAML format, which we're actually going to create our test file in a couple minutes. All right. So the first bit of this is just right underneath that last document block, or that last code block in the handout. And hopefully this is, should all be familiar, right? We're going to create a new user, and this one isn't done in setup. We're going to do this one here just to show you we can do it in either place. So we created a user with the access content permission. And the access content permission is just the basic view published content permission. So the way we know that is, well, you can look at the node module and look at its custom permissions, or you can come in here and you will see that there we go, edit, well, anonymous is the role, but access content, there you go. That's the machine name of the permission. So view published content is the label, access space content, all lowercase, is the machine name of that permission. So we want to create a user that has that permission, because eventually they're going to have to see, this user is going to load a repository node. So we can look at that repository node. Then we're going to log in as that user. We're going to start our browsing session just as before, and then we're going to navigate to user / this user's ID / edit. So this is their profile page. So for something like Drupal create user actually creates and returns a fully populated user object. So this user object has all of the normal user properties and methods that you would get outside of a test environment. So the user object does have an ID method, and it has a bunch of others as well. So let's take a look at that. Right, so there's the ID method. We can set things, we can get things, we can save the user. We can activate the user if they've been blocked for some reason. We can add roles to the user. We can block the user, delete the user. So all kinds, you can get the name, all kinds of things that we can do. Like there's get created time, get display name, get email. So all of these methods we can operate on this user object that was returned as part of our Drupal create user function. And then just like we did before, we're just going to make sure that that page loads. So again, we're going to go to user / user ID / edit. So that is a lot like, well, it's very similar. I can't point to my status bar down there, and I know it's really small when I hover, but it says user /1 / edit. We can show it up here as well. Yeah, there we go. So we're not going to go to user /1. We're going to go to whatever the ID is for this user, which I believe is going to be 3 by the time we get here. I think I have that in the handout. Yeah, user ID 3. And then we're just going to make sure that everything's cool. So I do this one a lot. I like to make sure things are cool. So let's just run that, make sure that we're all good. Oh, I heard a cat. Who was that? Alex, is that your cat? You're unmuted, in case you're wondering. That's why I was guessing. All right, so everything's still passing. So the new stuff we added, and now there's 2 tests where there were 1 test. If we go way up here somewhere, 1 test, 1 test method. Now we have 2 test methods. And between those 2 test methods, there's 23 assertions.